Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are here to talk about an issue that affects every single New Yorker, and that is gun violence. This past weekend, we were reminded again of just how serious this is. A 15-year-old boy shot and killed at Riverbank State Parkway on Saturday. A 5-year-old girl shot and gravely wounded in the Bronx on Friday. Yesterday, I visited that little girl. And to see what she and her family were going through was not only heartbreaking, it was infuriating. As a parent, it made me angry, and it should make every single one of us angry. So beside her bedside, we made a promise to her and to her family. We promised that we would never rest until her shooter was found and held accountable. Zamaya, Princess. 48 hours later, we have 2 individuals identified in the shooting, and the criminal justice system will now begin to take its course. But as we've seen many times before, these 2 suspects are no strangers to the NYPD. It has been proven time and time again that when you add repeat violent offenders together with illegal guns, you get a very dangerous and too often deadly combination. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? From the very start of this administration, which I have been a part of since day one, the NYPD has made our fight against gun violence our top priority. Over the past 18 months, the NYPD has taken more than 10,500 illegal guns off our streets and out of our neighborhoods. This is the highest number of illegal guns seized over that time period in a generation. In 2022, the NYPD made the most gun arrests in 27 years. The NYPD officers are out there, all across our city, doing the necessary work to combat this grave threat to public safety. And that work has produced real results. Shooting incidents are down in New York City nearly 25% so far this year, and shooting victims down nearly 27%. But again, as we saw this past weekend, one shooting victim is one too many. We can all sit here and talk about shootings being down, violent crime being down, and the dozens of guns seized just last week alone, some of which you can see here today. But when a child is shot riding in a car or playing in a park, we understand the perception or fear that creates, and we understand the reality. These are real guns in the hands of real bad people that are harming real children. So the NYPD will use every resource available and deploy every strategy available as we fight this war against illegal guns and the criminals who pull the triggers. But we cannot do this alone. I will sit here and say it over and over again. Public safety is a shared responsibility. It takes all of us, our law enforcement partners, elected officials, prosecutors, community leaders, and members of the public, which includes the media. New Yorkers need timely but accurate information because, again, perception matters. That is why we are here today and why we will continue to hold ourselves accountable to the people we serve. Together, we will win this war, and we will never stop fighting for it. That is a promise we made to every New Yorker, and that is our solemn oath to wear to protect our communities. We will never lose sight of that commitment, and we will never lose sight of the fact that we have our highest shared purpose, making New York City better tomorrow than it was today. Now with some additional information about the cases, I have Chief Joe Kenny to give us some information.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Assistant Chief Joe Kenny from the Detective Bureau. I'm going to discuss 3 cases with you today. They all involve gunfire. They all involve children being shot. These cases happened 2 in the Bronx, 1 in Upper Manhattan. We're going to go to the 4-7 precinct first. On Friday, June 30th, 2023, at approximately 7:02 p.m., patrol foot posts assigned to the 4-7 precinct responded to the sound of gunfire a block away from their posts. The officers responded to the front of 722 214th Street, where they observed numerous shell casings in the street. Almost immediately, additional patrol posts had a pickup of a female child shot in the back of a vehicle that was located at the intersection of 213th Street and White Plains Road. This child, a female Hispanic, 5 years old, was placed in the 4-7 Precinct Public Safety Auto and brought to Montefiore Hospital. The child was treated for a single gunshot wound to her back, and luckily she is listed in stable condition, not likely to die. Detectives from the 4-7 squad responded to the scene and began to canvass for video and for witnesses. This canvass located video that captured the incident itself. The video shows a group of people gathered for a memorial for Justin Rodriguez, who was the victim of a homicide at the same location the day before, on Thursday, June 29th. As this group gathered, 2 vehicles began slowly driving down the block. One of the vehicles is an older gray model Jetta, followed by a burgundy minivan. Shortly after the vehicles pass, the crowd begins to react to gunfire, which we believe may have been the backfire of a car. Once the backfire is heard, 2 males from the group run out onto the street and shoot at the car, thus striking the 5-year-old. The 2 identified males that fire have been identified as Curtis White, male black, 26, of 2715 Decatur Avenue in the Bronx. His criminal history: he has a collar in Atlanta, Georgia, for possession and transport of a firearm by a convicted felon. And why is he a convicted felon? Because we locked him up in 2015 for attempted murder, for shooting somebody. Our second shooter is Austin Marshall, male black, 25, of 1419 Bryan Avenue in the Bronx. He is a member of the Mac Baller gang. His criminal history is as follows. He's been the victim of a shooting 2 times. He's a subject of a local robbery pattern. He's on U.S. probation until 2025. He's on probation for a firearm. He was trigger locked and charged federally with a gun, and he also has a robbery arrest in 2017. Our second incident I'm going to discuss is the homicide of a male Hispanic, 15 years old. On Sunday, July 1st, at approximately 6:42 p.m., officers assigned to the 30 precinct responded to multiple calls of a male shot inside Riverside Park. The officers were assigned to the vicinity of the park for safety reasons. They responded and discovered the victim, a male Hispanic, 15, lying face down on the ground. A description was put over the radio by the park police for the perpetrator. 3 patrol officers, while responding to the scene, observed the male matching the description, saw him disposing of a firearm. The subject was placed under arrest at this time and was identified as Annabelle Cruz. Mr. Cruz was moved to the 30 precinct and charged with criminal possession of that gun. Currently, the case is being handled by the New York State Police, and we are assisting them in trying to get probable cause on Mr. Cruz. The last incident, July 3rd, 2023, at 9:45 p.m., patrol officers responded to a radio run of a 12-year-old female shot in front of 1780 Eastburn Avenue. Upon their arrival, responding officers observed 1 male in front of 1780 Eastburn, and then further investigated found 2 additional females shot at the location. There were 6 9mm casings recovered from the scene. The victims were removed by EMS and transported to St. Barnabas Hospital, while the 12-year-old female was brought to Lincoln Hospital. The 12-year-old female suffered a gunshot wound to her right elbow. The second female, 33 years old, suffered a gunshot wound to her right ankle. The third victim is a male Hispanic, 24, suffered a gunshot wound to his lower leg. And later on that evening, we had a 4th male walk into Bronx Care Hospital, arrived by private means with a gunshot wound to his foot. As of right now, we're still conducting a video canvass. The investigation continues. We are matching ballistics and forensics. Information is still being gathered. On all 3 of these incidents, we're looking for the community's help. If you can dial 1-800-577-TIPS, we'll appreciate any information you can give us, and all information will be kept confidential. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have Chief LaPercha come up and give us an overview of how we're seeing crime.
Thank you, Commissioner. So I'd like to talk about, the weekend shootings and what we're seeing and how we're deployed. So since 3 p.m. on Friday till this morning, there was 9 shootings across the city. 7 out of the 9 were in the borough of the Bronx. The Bronx is the most heavily deployed borough as far as resources that we have given them since the beginning of May. In perspective, if you remember last year, the Bronx led the city in shooting reduction with approximately 100 incidents. This year, the Bronx is down an additional 71 incidents. So with the deployment in 9 specific precincts with not just hundreds, but thousands of officers since May 4th, we have seen reductions. So what did we see in the Bronx this weekend? We see what we've been seeing, unfortunately, in some areas of the city: lawlessness before shootings. Large groups of individuals on the streets, disorderly groups, and shootings happen. One at a memorial, one at an illegal social club, and the rest were large groups on the streets. You see the guns in front of you. The NYPD have arrested approximately 2,200 people with illegal firearms this year. Unfortunately, 8 out of 10 are walking the streets of New York City today. Who are we arresting with firearms? Convicted felons, people with open felonies, and unfortunately, under the age of 18. 11% of all our gun arrests this year are under the age of 18. And what does the data show us? When you're under 18 and get arrested with a gun, a quarter of that population is involved in a shooting incident within 2 years. It's not a good mix. Our victims, our young victims, approximately 62 victims under the age of 18 this year across New York City. Perpetrators, 14% of all the shooting arrests this year under the age of 18. So youth violence is a concern. It's always been a concern, but we're focused on reducing the victims. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we'll take any crime-related questions.
Morning to Stefano, Newsday.
Yeah, Commissioner, you have an array of guns. You have shootings down 25% so far this year. Chief of Country went over the arrest statistics. But are you concerned about what particularly has happened this weekend within the 48 to 72-hour period? We're going to see a spate of violence that you've got to see.
Thank you for that question, Tony. You know, we're always concerned about shootings. We're always concerned about crime. You know, like we say, public safety is a shared responsibility. We work so hard with our stakeholders, our partners, our faith-based organizations, and we're trying to focus a lot of that on our youth. I'm going to have Chief Madge, our Chief Department, talk about what we're doing with our youth.
And Tony, one thing I want to make sure that's clear. I don't think Mike said it. This weekend, we looked at 4th of July. When the 4th of July is on Tuesday, and the weekend before, this was the best weekend, the safest weekend we had in 20 years, with only 9 shooting incidents. Unfortunately, we had some notable shootings with young people. But just in terms of youth, this summer we're looking to, our summer youth employment program, we're looking to have 1,000 children here. Last year we did 813, the most ever. We have 871 already committed. We're looking to have 1,000, and in that 1,000 also is going to include, for the first time, young people with vision loss, young people who are deaf and hard of hearing. So we're really expanding out and making sure we're more inclusive, bringing everybody, all the young people in to have an opportunity to work this summer. We're going to have our youth police academy. We have 1,700 young people already signed up for that. Our Explorer program, of course, we have over 2,000 kids in there. And then most importantly, our youth coordination officers, position that we put together earlier this year to address violence at schools. We're going to really task them to be in our parks and to really engage young people that are, young people that we're losing, and to try to bring them back over and keep them safe and get them on the right path. So we have a vision for the young people this summer. We're going to push forward with that.
All right, go over to Lisa Evers, Fox 5.
You're talking about the 4th of July perhaps?
Oh, 4th of July be next. Mark Morales.
Question I have is about youth violence. The number of arrests for the shooters under the age of 18, how does that compare to years prior? Is
Thank you for that question. I have Chief LePatrick go over those numbers.
So since 2020, we've seen increases that we've never seen before. So from 2020 to present, it's most youth-involved shootings that we've seen.
Dean Moses?
Could you tell us more about the guns themselves, where they come from, how long of a period did you take them from, when did you take them, more details about the
So we look at the guns here. It's just a visual of the hard work the men and women of the New York City Police Department do day in and day out. This past week alone, we've had over 100 guns seized.
Steve?
As far as the Friday night incident, I just want to make sure the details are clear. The two passing cars, were the occupants of those cars known to the gathering, or was this just a coincidence that a car passed the sound of a gunshot?
Chief Joe Ken?
Our investigation shows right now that it just seems to be a coincidence that they're driving by. They're known in the area. They're familiar with that block, but they were on their way to a car meet in Queens, and they just happened to be driving past the memorial at that time.
And Chief LePetri described that gathering as unlawful or unruly. What exactly made that gathering unlawful?
When you look at precursors to some of the shootings over the weekend, there were disorder-type calls from 311 describing disorderly groups.
All right, we're going to take one more question. Tim McCoos?
I think the commissioner or chief of police will be able to answer this, but what do you think it is that's driving that increase in minors being involved in shootings as either victims or perpetrators? Why is that happening?
Chief LePatrick?
Well, I can tell you this, when young crew members get arrested with a gun, and then the other crew members see that person the very next day walking around, it empowers, unfortunately, some individuals to carry a gun.
All right, we're going to take a quick 20-second pause. We're going to have our executives step up with some of our other executives to step up. Everyone, please remain in place. Thank you.
Ready? Yeah. On your mark.
Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon again. Now we're going to give you an idea of how the NYPD is preparing for the holiday tomorrow and for our nation's greatest Independence Day celebration, the Macy's 4th of July fireworks. We hope that everyone comes out with their families and friends to take part in what is really an enjoyable occasion every year. In terms of the NYPD safeguarding the event and everyone attending it, there will be much the public will see and much the public will not see. Currently, there are no specific credible threats directed toward the July 4th fireworks or any other celebrations taking place in New York City. However, you can certainly expect increased security measures, plus street closures and additional traffic. So we urge everyone to use public transportation, which will definitely be the most efficient way of moving around the city tomorrow. I can tell you, we began planning for this event immediately following the end of last year's festivities. Designing security plans for events of this scale is what the NYPD does on a daily basis. And without a doubt, the men and women of this department do it better than anyone else, anywhere. But we do not do anything alone. We always say that public safety is a shared responsibility. We work in close collaboration with our local, state, and federal partners as usual to ensure that everyone who lives, works, and visits here is safe and feels safe too. Macy's is always a fantastic ally in that mission too, so we want to thank them for that. And for all the people we serve, they can do their part as well. You should stay vigilant and remain aware of your surroundings at all times. If something does not look right or does not feel right, call 911 or tell a uniformed police officer. There'll be thousands of them out there tomorrow. We're looking forward to another great 4th of July celebration, and we know New Yorkers will be looking for that too. Now, for additional details, you're going to hear from Chief Shell, our Chief of Patrol.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Commissioner. So our 47th annual Macy's Fireworks Show, we are planning on having a very safe event like we had last year and years before. There'll be thousands of police officers from Patrol Services Bureau, our Transportation Bureau, Counterterrorism Division, Intel Bureau, and other members of the police department. The main viewing on the FDR will be from 14th Street to 54th Street. There will be barges between 26th and 40th, specifically 26th Street, 29th, 33rd, 36th, and 40th Street. There'll be 6 sites throughout the city, the main ones being the FDR and Queens North. The access points for the public will be on East 20th Street, 34th, and 42nd Street. They'll be checking for items such as no alcohol, backpacks, umbrellas, lounge chairs, and other items. Our operations in the police department will start at about 0600 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and go through midnight when it ends. And obviously, at 25 minutes past 9, the fireworks show will begin. Our traffic closures, which Chief Royce will get into, will start at 1500 hours, 3 o'clock. And the bridges crossings will be at 7 o'clock for pedestrians and foot traffic. Like I said, we plan on having a great event. We have thousands of police officers that will be protecting this city. And I'll pass it to Chief Judy Harrison to talk about counterterrorism.
Thank you, Chief Shell. Thank you, Commissioner, and good afternoon, everyone. I'll speak about some of the security measures that will be implemented to ensure that everyone who gathers to see the Macy's 4th of July fireworks is safe. But before I do that, I want to take the time out to actually thank Macy's for being such great partners and in working with us. So there'll be a robust counterterrorism deployment, which will include a cadre of members assigned to the Counterterrorism Division, as well as a complement of counterterrorism-trained personnel assigned to patrol precincts throughout the city. The majority of our assets will be visible, but understandably, there will be some assets that are not visible for obvious reasons, but rest assured, they will be out there. We will deploy plainclothes teams, heavy weapons teams, bomb squad response teams, drone detection and interdiction teams, and radiation detection equipment. Some of that equipment includes the personal radiation pagers that are attached to the officers' gun belts, and other equipment includes radiation detection vessels that will patrol the New York City waterways, particularly the East River. We will also deploy 120 blocker cars, 26 Department of Sanitation sand trucks, and 50 concrete barriers, which will be used to safeguard the streets and prohibit vehicles from entering into any of the prohibited frozen areas. Additionally, we will have access to 115 cameras specifically deployed for this event. Those cameras include NYPD fixed cameras, public-private stakeholder cameras, as well as temporarily installed special event cameras, which will be monitored by our Lower Manhattan Security Initiative. Upon entering the frozen zones in the access areas, you will be screened. This will be a multifaceted screening process that will include bag checks, as well as the use of explosive detection canines, as well as explosive detection trace equipment. We ask that you discard prohibited items prior to accessing any of the access points. Some of those items include alcohol, backpacks, large bags, chairs, lawn chairs, coolers, and umbrellas. As you can imagine, an event of this magnitude requires great collaboration, which is key and vital to our success. As always, we work with our federal, state, and local partners, including Macy's, as I mentioned earlier. We also work hand in hand with the Intelligence Division, monitoring threat conditions that not only occur in New York City, but threat conditions that occur within the United States and also around the world. Our shared mission is safety. And although there are no specific, nor are there any credible threats towards this event, please know that the New York City Police Department is well-trained, well-equipped, and well-prepared to ensure that this event is well-policed and well-protected. Members of the community are very important to us and function as extra sets of eyes and ears. You heard before, policing and public safety is a shared responsibility, and we share that responsibility with all of you. So to that end, if you see something, anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, anything that makes you feel like your safety is in jeopardy, we want you to say something. By all means, you can approach any of the uniformed members of the service that will be working the event. There will be plenty of them there. You can also call the Counterterrorism hotline at 1-888-NYC-SAFE. That's 1-888-692-7233. And of course, you can always call 911. We want everyone to enjoy themselves. We're looking forward to having a very safe event. Thank you for your time. And with that, I'd like to ask Chief Royster to come to the podium.
Thank you, Chief Harrison, and good afternoon, everyone. This year, as with every year during the 4th of July celebration in our city, safety is a primary concern. So that revelers will enjoy themselves, traffic closures will take place around 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. The FDR Drive will be closed from approximately 3 p.m. on Tuesday to 2 a.m. on Wednesday morning, northbound and southbound from the Brooklyn Bridge to the 63rd Street exit. We strongly recommend that motorists avoid the east side of Manhattan, as many vehicles will be detoured during that time. Motorists are advised to utilize the West Side Highway. From 7 p.m., the Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan, Williamsburg, and Koch bridges will be closed to pedestrian and bicycles. The 4 East River bridges will remain open for vehicle traffic. Truck restrictions will be placed on 1st Avenue from 14th Street up to 42nd Street. And during this weekend, we have deployed our highway patrol and precinct-level officers around the city to conduct DWI enforcement for both drunk and drug drivers. So we recommend that you drive responsibly this year. So if you're coming to view the Macy's fireworks celebration, please consider using public transportation to and from the area. We also like for you to look at our social media platforms for additional information, because the information is just like traffic. It is fluid. So thank you very much for joining us here today.
Okay, we'll take any questions specifically related to 4th of July celebrations.
We'll start off with Lisa Evans, Fox 5.
Commissioner, in terms of the concern about gun violence, will it be wands or metal detectors at the entry points to the crowds coming in?
Chief Shell, answer the question.
Hi, thank you for your question. There won't be any wanding, but there will be soft bag checks at the access points, and those access points will be supported by a heavy weapons team assigned to the Counterterrorism Division.
And then what happens if you find somebody who has like a knife or a gun in their bag?
We do what the New York City Police Department does. If there's an arrest that needs to be made, we'll make the arrest. If there's an investigation, we work hand in hand with the Chief of Detectives as well as with the Intelligence Division. But we will do whatever we need to do to make sure that everybody is safe.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Stephen.
Severe weather is a specific concern this year. Plans might need to change on a dime and get people out of an area very quickly if something turns. What kind of flexibility is there to kind of reverse procedure if severe weather things up?
Chief Shell, answer.
Our operations department, we look at the weather. We have egress routes set up for vehicles. We have egress routes set up for pedestrians. Obviously, we're a dynamic agency. We can move fast, and if that occurs, we'll get it done.
Just as a follow-up, last year, the NYPD got in some hot water for those private viewing areas that were set up for family and friends, otherwise public places. Are there any plans to do anything similar this year?
We have many special guests from victims of crime to families that have had a heartache. They'll all be down watching the fireworks on the 4th of July.
Is it a secluded area?
Excuse me?
Is that a private area?
They'll be on the FDR drive with the rest of us watching the fireworks.
Trevor, inside edition.
Yeah, is the potential for poor air quality factor at all in planning for fireworks this year?
We factored in, but as of right now, we have no air quality concerns for the 4th of July as of right now. Like I just said, if things change weather-wise, we'll move quickly, we'll make adjustments.
Any other questions in regards to the 4th of July? No? Thank you, everyone. Thank you.